As grumpy taxpayers, we are mostly concerned about governance, transparency, accountability, and the efficient use of public funds to ensure a level of service that local government can deliver to the best value of taxpayers, creating an environment in which business can thrive and communities can grow. Today, it's my great pleasure to welcome His Worship John Henderson, the Mayor of Sechelt, for a conversation around the issue of governance, particularly perhaps looking at regional districts and the relationship with municipalities. In the interest of transparency, Beverly and I were posted in Hong Kong 4 decades ago. John and Leslie arrived. John was, at the time, he is a CA, of course, but he was with Ernst & Young. And quickly became a leader in the Canadian business community. We were together when the Canadian Chamber of Commerce in Hong Kong was formed. He was a member of the Canadian Club. He went on to leaving public practice and worked with one of the largest groups in Hong Kong, Fung Ping Fan. And then after that, established a couple of businesses along the way. Little did I realize that this mild-mannered CA, clearly a successful business person, harbored the kind of commitment to the community that John and I see when we do our videos on Rotary. John, you're the very epitome of service above self. John is in his 2nd term as mayor of Sechelt, interrupted by 8 years. Is that what you told me?
Exactly.
And it's just a great pleasure to welcome a friend of many years who has unique insights based on his extensive career in local politics in the province of British Columbia. Good morning, John.
Good morning, John. Thank you. It's going to get confusing with John and John.
That's right. Yeah,
Another Troika John interview. Well done, John Trelevin.
No, thank you, John Trelevin. And yes, it's been a long. We're old, I guess.
No, we're wise, John H.
Just experience. But I mean, we're in the Capital Regional District, 13 municipalities, and the CRD. The CRD has spends about $2.5 million a day, has approximately, including casual employees, about 1,500 employees, and of course is an integral part of service delivery to the citizens of this region. As a mayor, first of all, is Sechelt the largest municipality in the district?
Yeah, and so thanks. First of all, thank you. It's fun to be with you and doing this. The municipal governance is. We were talking a bit ahead of time. It really is feet on the ground, and people know my phone number. They know where I live, and so I get a lot of input. Is the nice term. A lot of feedback from our residents on a minute-by-minute basis. So, but to answer your question, the regional district, the Sunshine Coast Regional District, encompasses everything from Gambier and Keats Islands in the south, the southeast, to all the way up to Egmont, and that is where the Skookumchuck Rapids are. So we're a ferry-dependent community. We're proudly the Sunshine Coast, the original Sunshine Coast, not to be confused with the Johnny-come-lately Sunshine Coast in Australia. And it's quite interesting because we've had the moniker for, I believe, close to 100 years. But I think it's fair to say the Australians have done a wonderful job of marketing their Sunshine Coast.
Mm. Yes.
Sechelt is, yes, we're almost 12,000 people. So the whole coast has about 32,000 in the winter. Gibson's would be the other municipality, and it's just under 5,000 people. So the rest is spread across the various rural directors from A to F. So we have, we have all the same issues that you have, I think, in the CBRD, but perhaps we don't have quite the number of variables, number of municipalities that you do.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
John Henderson, I have a long running beef. I mean, long running since John Turner days of the federal liberal government, in which that we originally saw a lot of this what they call downsizing or taking some of the federal fiscal responsibilities and putting it on the backs of another layer of taxpayer responsibility, provincial, and then they download it to the municipalities. And so when we talk in a grumpy taxpayer context around efficiency of tax fiscal policy, really it starts in Ottawa because you folks, municipalities, do not have the tax power outside of property taxes to do all of the things that other levels of government are supposed to do. It's annoyed me to no end. And so when the grumpy taxpayers, rightly so, complain about the constant uplifting of municipal taxpayer, the real issue is coming from misplaced responsibility and accountability. Do you share my viewpoints on this? Because it's not fair to constantly 13,000 people, taxpayers, that's about the size of your district, I understand. How could those taxpayers possibly look after all of the things that need to be done? Just one of them being infrastructure. I mean, how are we going to change this? What can happen?
Well,
Hey, sorry, I'm very passionate about
no. Good for you. The issue of downloading is endemic. It happens from the province to the municipal world. It certainly happens from the federal government to both levels, the provincial and the municipal. I think it's fair to say. I was actually in Ottawa last week and talking to them about a particular issue related to our workers, the people that we have here and we need to keep here. And I was struck by how just disconnected it is that, and this is not directly related to financial downloading, but there is a real impact on our community because of the cost of compliance, for example. In this case, when we're talking about immigration things, if you haven't had to do it, you're lucky, because any process that,
yes.
Yeah, but and I mean, we have employers that are spending huge amounts of their time and huge amounts of money on consultants to comply with the regulations and the procedures that the federal government have implemented. And they're cumbersome, they're arcane,
Yes.
and the particular distinction I could make is they might apply to big urban centers, but some of these are very much totally disconnected. If we want to hire somebody in a town of our size, the chances are 3 or 4 employers that we know everybody, if you will. It's very difficult to sneak in a bad actor into town and think that nobody will notice. So, I think that's not the direct thing that you talked about, but John, you referenced infrastructure. That's one I'm really quite proud of what Sea Shelf has been able to do, because we recognized it as well in my term or my time, I guess. We recognized it in probably 2009 or 10 that we were facing a particular issue with our wastewater treatment plant. And so when I was mayor from 2011 to 14, we got on and we addressed it. And so we designed a new plant, we funded it, we went to a referendum, not an alternative approval process, but to a referendum. We built it, and then a week after we opened it, I was de-elected. So what's that saying? No good turn goes unpunished. So we addressed it, and I'm very proud to say that we had a financial plan associated with it. We built it big enough to expand. We won, I believe it's 7 national awards for it, and we paid it off last year.
Well,
So,
congratulations.
so
Wow.
compared to many other jurisdictions, I think you can relate in the greater Victoria area about the burdens of wastewater treatment, the same in Powell River. And of course, we all read about Metro Vancouver pretty much on a daily basis. But the point I really would make on that one is we bit the bullet. At the time, the idea that we would spend, oh my gosh, $25 million on a wastewater treatment plant for a tiny little town was, we got the heat that every politician gets with
Yes, of course.
infrastructure and capital projects. But we were able, with a strong council and a clear approach, that we were going to get the experts to build it, and we were going to
Yes.
keep our hands out of the pie while it was being done. It worked out great.
I know, John.
Go
ahead.
Let's
just
link
the other
two.
part on infrastructure, though, is we in every municipality, and we've done this, and I certainly won't take credit for this, but when we have our tax decisions each year, part of it is there's an allocation every year. We've been charging 3% as a tax, that money goes directly into our infrastructure renewal fund. So we actually have a fund that is the funds, the tax revenues, the money that our residents pay is allocated and restricted and can only be used for infrastructure renewal.
John Trelevin.
John, that sounds like a sovereign wealth fund to me.
Well, and the point is, we're not doing it with borrowed money. I mean, we're doing it with residents' money. The problem is, even 3%, we spend it every year.
Mm-hmm.
So the distinction that we are identifying it. So when you get, like at the moment, it's coming back to us shortly for final approval, and right now we happen to be at 3% for cost of living and annual services, and the second 3% is for infrastructure. So we're at about 6%. But we're being careful not to commingle too many things where it all gets confusing and you finger pointing at one particularly contentious issue over another.
Yeah, it's not a slush fund.
No, it is not. Yeah.
And John, if I could link the two issues you've raised, labor market issues and infrastructure. The truth is that the economy of Canada is created only at the municipal level. One way or another, there's a municipality involved with every business that is ongoing in the country. And so you've given us a great story of your municipality stepping up. And there are several such stories in the capital region. We've had a very good conversation with the mayor of Central Saanich, who in the end, the CRD wouldn't help them at all, but they built a necessary and a very expensive interchange on the Pat Bay Highway. They got money from other levels of government, but they were the ones who initiated it. So there are mayors like you around here on whom, in fact, the whole economy of the country depends. And what I'm kind of interested in with your experience in the province, of course, the municipalities are creatures of the province, and the Local Government Act, the legislation around municipalities, the whole creation of the districts. With your experience over the years, what are one or two changes that you would make in the current legislation that allows municipalities to be created and function?
Only one or two?
Well, okay. Yeah. I leave it to you, but
no, thanks. It's a really interesting question because yes, it's a very popular phrase for certain parties to remind municipalities that we are creatures of the provincial government. And when I hear that, I always think, well, yes, that's true in a family sense, that the children are creatures of their parents. And the distinction I'd make is sooner or later, and for better or worse, the children grow up. And I think sometimes the particularly seems in the last few years, has been a penchant for the province to come in and impose on municipalities in the context that we are they are the higher level of government. I think that's not. There's some benefit to knowing what the province thinks, just as there is knowing what grandma and grandpa think about the grandkids, kind of thing. But at the end of the day, we are the group, we are the people, as you've said, that we're right here, we're right in front of our own taxpayers, and I find some of this patriarchal approach from the province to be problematic.
Yeah, it's ironic, but in some ways, well, in important ways, the provincial economy is a creation of the municipalities because that's
Yeah.
where it happens.
Yeah, yeah, and you're right. And we struggle because I mean it's a good regimen. I suppose everybody in their home budget should have the same limitations that we have. That we can't run a deficit, so we can't incur large debts. We can't come home at night with owing a bunch of money on our credit card. It's against the law. So, that imposes a regimen on us that I think it's easy for me to say nowadays, but boy, wouldn't that have been good if we didn't have debt at the provincial level, or for that matter,
Yes.
at the federal level, that is beyond our ability to pay for. Debt's fine, but a bit like I was referencing with our water resource center, we had a very clear plan to borrow the money and to pay it off.
Yeah.
I don't see that plan in the other orders of government.
No.
And we, as I say, the municipal world can't get into that kind of debt.
So what would make your job as mayor easier in serving your community in terms of changing provincial legislation?
Oh boy, okay. So, I think we've got good, talented people. The municipal world, we've got a mindset, or perhaps a perception is a better word, that all municipalities, all regional districts are overstaffed. And I mean, you could say that about any organization. A software company these days, I guess, is overstaffed because I read that they're laying off people. So there's always going to be some ability to tweak things. But we have, for the most part, municipalities have committed, dedicated professionals that are managing our affairs. So I think the probably the best I would come up with right now is just let us do our job, be oblige us because we need to be more transparent about what we're doing. But that's also a poke, I guess, at the province, that we need the province and we need the feds to be more transparent. There's too many things that get announced out of the blue, and it's like, here it is, deal with it. And I find that hugely troublesome.
So John, okay, I'm going to poke you a little bit here. So there is a myth that is in many people's minds a reality that there are four taxpayers in our communities: the municipal taxpayer, somehow or another, somewhere down the road is a provincial taxpayer, further down the road is a federal taxpayer, and all around us is a business taxpayer. Okay, and that's just not going to change. That's all wrong. There's only one of them. In fact, there are three of us here are taxpayers funding all four of those levels of government, one of them not being government. A long-held answer to that unfortunate reality is that at the municipal level, there is an amalgamation of services, of policies that then would then become more efficient and perhaps better deal with the misappropriated policies at the other levels. Where do you stand on maybe how we can strengthen a municipal hand with misguided politicians at the other two levels? Okay, I'm poking you.
Yeah, no, I don't want to just react. It's you're so right that there's one source of funding. Right now, we're sending it to many, many different parts of the government agencies that
Yes.
provide
Not even
service.
talking about school board
I was gonna
oh
bring that up. Maybe that's a bit not answering your question directly, but the visibility on things like obviously sales tax and property tax and income tax is very high. But I would imagine very, very few people have any sense of how much they pay for school taxes.
mm,
I bet half of my community doesn't know that when they get a bill for $2,000 for their property tax, that includes, it might be in the $800 or $900 for school district tax.
wow.
So, there's another factor, and that I'm not poking them now, but this is a cost in our community that is explicitly identified on your tax bill, but we don't kind of pay attention to it. We complain about it being $2,000, and we don't scrutinize the components of it.
And the issue there is that the municipality issues that tax bill on behalf of the school
Yes.
district. To
And
which
on
I would
behalf of the
say
regional
then,
district.
yeah, yeah. In my view, the school district should come to the taxing authority to defend their budget before that taxing authority, signs the requisition. And we feel the same way about regional districts and municipal councils.
Indeed, and the difference I agree with that very much, that the regional district should be coming to the different municipalities, and I agree that the school district should. The distinction is that at least in the rural regional districts, there is some representation of elected officials from Sechelt on the Sunshine Coast Regional District. That doesn't mean they shouldn't come back, but at least there's some overlap of responsibility. The school board is a totally independently elected group of people. And again, I would, now I could poke you. Can you name 3 of your school district trustees?
No,
I
can, not a chance.
No. And then we're all like that. So it's just an interesting situation where one of the largest costs of our economy is education, and we're not really seeing much visibility from what from what we are paying, or for what we are paying, I suppose.
Yeah. Well, as a response, a policy response to the fact that, generally speaking, and I'm talking about me, the guy on the street, the person on the street, isn't really aware of all of these tax bombardments from everywhere. A way to solve that is to generate more revenue. And, governments, especially at the Fed's side, haven't been very good at that, and have decided to talk to everyone all the time about generating revenue, resulting in no revenue being generated from an amazing country that has potential to generate a ton of revenue from our resource-based economies. So I'm so supportive of what John is trying to do in the Grumpy Taxpayers, in trying to consolidate all this buffoonery around taxes. More revenue, less taxes, please.
With the clear understanding, and I know that John Henderson knows this very well, there is only one taxpayer. Businesses are tax collectors and wealth generators. They never pay a tax. John was a practicing CA. I think the only time your private sector clients had to pay tax out of equity was when they're going bankrupt.
Yeah.
Otherwise, a viable business, all taxes are paid by their customer base.
Yeah.
This has been a great conversation, and as time goes on here, there's an election cycle coming, and there are fundamental decisions to be taken. John, we'd like to come back to you and have further discussions. It's such a great pleasure to be back in touch with you after a number of years.
Yeah.
And,
maybe he won't want to talk to me, John. Maybe you'll hear afterwards, no, that Jurassic, he's too full of passion around this subject.
No, can I just pick up on that? No, we need passion. And we need passion, especially in this year, because as you said, it's an election year, and everything we're talking about, whether it's municipal government or other government agencies, start with having a good, strong council, elected group, whether it's the council or a school board or the rural representatives on regional districts. We need people with passion, and we need people that can bring some common sense and hopefully some financial acumen. I think a lot of these things, the story of where do our taxes come from and where do they go is a messaging issue that usually we lose. We lose track of it.
I agree.
And if we saw the total numbers wrapped up in a bow or one tight little package, I think there'd be a lot of enthusiasm for making changes.
Yep, I couldn't agree more. Excellent. Yeah. John, thank you for your service to British Columbia as a serving mayor of Sechelt.
Pleasure. Thank you to the two Johns from this John.
Can't wait to chat with you again, John. Take care now.
I look forward to it. Thank you both.